Night of the Saucers in Trancas, Argentina, 1963, by UFO history buff and author Charles Lear, read by Martin Willis in this particular case. Many who have more than a passing interest in the UFO subject might be aware that the scene in Steven Spielberg's 1977 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where several UFOs go speeding by the main character's stalled car, followed by police cars in hot pursuit, was based on a real case. This was the 1966 incident where police officers Dale Spower and Barney Neff reportedly chased a single UFO at high speed across the state of Ohio into Pennsylvania, with other officers joining them in the chase. However, another scene in the movie where a house occupied by a mother and son is flooded with light from a UFO was also inspired by a real case. This one is not so well known. The front page headline of the November 1963 APRO Bulletin is, quote, "Family Besieged by Discs," unquote. According to the article, on October 21st, 1963, at his ranch near Trancas, Argentina, Antonio de Moreno was woken up by a 15-year-old employee who told him there seemed to have been an accident at the railway tracks about half a mile away from the house. As in the reporter's words, there were a lot of light and people moving around at that location. Moreno, 72, is said to have woken up Senor Teresa Moreno, his wife. She was 63 years old. According to the article, they both looked out the window and saw an oval-shaped object hovering a few feet in the air over the railroad tracks that projected light on the ground, where the couple could see people walking back and forth in a single file. Teresa Moreno reportedly saw another object very near the house, close to the ground. It's described as a dome-shaped 25 feet in diameter with windows or ports around the circumference of the object. Teresa is said to have then gotten a flashlight and shown it at the object, quote, whereupon it shot a bright white tubular beam of light at the house, unquote. She described as a remaining calm, unsure as to what, quote, the meaning of the incident, unquote, which led her to gather up all her children in the house and help of her sister to hide them. After the Morenos are said to have checked all the windows and have discovered that it was a total of 5 discs near the house, with 3 staying about 210 to 225 feet away and 2 within a few feet. According to the article, one shone a white tubular light at the house and the other shone a reddish-violet tubular light. And shortly thereafter, the house heated up, quote, until it was like an oven, unquote, and there was a strong smell of sulfur in the air. Even though the heat was almost too intense to bear, the family was afraid of going outside because of the discs, and Teresa instructed everyone to be quiet. According to the article, after 40 minutes, the object by the railroad tracks lifted up and moved off, following by the discs surrounding the house, with the light of the 2 closest discs going out. A, quote, misty smoke-like deposit, unquote, is said to have remained for several minutes where they had hovered. Adding credence to the story, the reader is told a reporter from Cordoba Providence newspaper, Clarion, quote, also providing information for the France Press Services, unquote, stopped by, quote, several hours later, unquote, and reported that the house was still quite hot and that there was a sulfur smell as well. Also, Francis Trupano, presumably a neighbor, is said to have reported seeing a group of discs moving through the sky around 10:15 p.m., which is when the Morenos reported the discs had left the area. The article closes with the Morenos being described as a family with a reputation for, quote, integrity and honesty, unquote. While this account was published close to the time of the event, no credit was given to the writer, though the report could possibly have come from Dr. Olavo Fontes, who was a friend of APRO founders Coral and Jem Lorenzen and was APRO's man in Brazil. There is another account with more details and a quote from one of the witnesses involved. In this article headline, quote, Argentina, the 1963 Tranca CE2/CE3 revisited, unquote. That was posted on the context.com on June 2nd, 2001, translated by Scott Corrales and 2011, and reposted on Explictia blogspot.com on June 6, 2011. This account begins with the information that October 31st, 1963, the Moreno's daughter, Argentina, 28, and Jole, 21, along with her 3 small children, came from Rosero to visit their parents, their 30-year-old sister, Yolanda. They are said to have come because their husbands, who were officers in the army, would be taking part in maneuvers and possibly by Tranca the next morning, going from Tucumán to Salta. According to the account, after dinner, everyone went to their rooms to sleep. At 11 p.m., 15-year-old domestic worker Dora Guzman, who lived in the back of the house, quote, appeared repeatedly, stating that she could see lights on the railroad embankment located about 200 meters in front of the ranch, unquote. At that time, the parents were asleep. Yoli was feeding her 4-month-old son, and Yolanda had thought the lights could be from a passenger bus, but Guzman is said to have, quote, prevailed upon the sisters to check on the strange lights she was seeing, unquote. They are described as being a set of 5 blinking on and out intermittently, shooting out beams of light in different directions and lighting up the farm. An aspect of this account that puts into context the time of when the woman reportedly noticed the humanoid shapes moving about in the lighted area, they are said to have become fearful that they were seeing guerrillas in the act of sabotaging the very railroad tracks that their husbands would be traveling on in a few hours. It is noted that there had been the rural guerrilla warfare of Tacareo in southern Tucumán in late 1962. One of the sisters is said to have remembered flying saucers being seen around the world, in particular case in Monte Mayi, where it involved a truck driver reporting he had seen a craft and had been burned by a thin beam of light. The sister is said to have had suggested that the saucers were what they were seeing. According to the account, they went outside to get a better look, saw a dim greenish light where they thought it might be a farmhand's truck, went to the gate, and then suddenly found themselves bathed in a light emanating from the source 8 meters distant. They are said to have seen a craft described as a 8 by 3 meters with a turret and large rivets on the surface. According to the account, they ran inside Guman screaming that she had been burned. Argentina and Yolanda determined she was just scared. With the entire household awake at this point, the description of the events that followed is similar to that of the bulletin. Apparently, the family was overwhelmed by reporters and curious visitors after their story got out, as to reported that, quote, police intervention was subsequently requested, unquote. It is also noted that dusty white residue found at the site, quote, was tested by the Chemical Engineering Institute at the University of Tucumán and had been found to be calcium carbonate with potassium carbonate impurities. As for Spielberg being inspired by the case, Yoli Moreno is quoted, "My mother was desperate and my sisters were running around. My son was asleep in his little bed, perspiring in such a way that outside were those lights, lighting everything up, moving intelligently, and those figures. It was like Steven Spielberg's film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was authorized base for the information that existed on this case. I authorized it," unquote. Charles Lear is the author of The Flying Saucer Investigators. Thank you.